What's up guys, in this video I want to go about the settings in Unite a bit, because honestly I've been asked a lot lately about what are my settings, what are the settings I should be paying attention to, so let's just do it. So we start with better info. I'm also going to go very into detail and explain what every setting does. First off, we have the, you don't need to hide trainer names, your trainer names actually don't matter. So the first one is the boosted attack gauge. And it's the one that matters a lot. You should always have this enabled. It will show when your boosted auto attack is ready right under your character. Right now you don't see anything, so when we turn this on, you can see the boosted auto attack, and in general, when my boosted auto attack is ready to be used. And I mean, that's very, very important to know when your boosted auto attacks are up on a lot of Pokemon. So I saw some people not knowing that this exists, so please enable this one. Cooldown on decimal values, of course, we also want to have on. It just shows when our cooldown will be up a bit easier on the bottom, 4, 3, and then we get decimals after 1 second. So right here, we have a bit of better estimate when exactly it's going to be up. It's just a small thing, but I think it all should be enabled. And then we also have highlight outlines for opposing Pokemon on screen edges. I don't think this works properly on Switch. So like when you walk towards close to someone, you see they glow up red. But I think it's supposed to be like an icon at the edge of your screen showing where the Pokemon is, but it doesn't really work. So I think this doesn't really, I think something's probably bugged on this thing. It shows that they have red outlines, but besides that, like it doesn't do anything. So setting doesn't matter. I think on phone it works. Like I think I remember playing on phone and it was actually working properly. So maybe just a Switch bug. Let's go over the actual controls. I personally play with lowest remaining HP percentage on. I'm just going to showcase why. So on remaining, sometimes can be the issue. Like let's say you fight for Zapdos, right? And someone like goes for a Corphish like this. If I press B now, because the Corphish has much less remaining HP, I'm going to start attacking the Corphish. Even though I'm going to chunk Zapdos, let's say, to just like half HP. It's right here. Now my B will still attack the Corphish, even like a full HP Corphish. I'm going to put it even low on HP. So if someone aggros this in a team fight, and I press B now, I will only go for the Corphish, because the Corphish has, less remaining HP, even though it has less percentage HP. And this was like, there used to be a team fight where I just completely got screwed over by it, and since then, I started just using percentage-based. Because then, late game Zapdos fights, especially in range attackers, you don't accidentally attack Corphishes. And it also works well on Bees. So when the Bees spawn, we have lowest remaining as HP percentage on. Let's keep that on, and we spawn the Bees, or the Bees spawn, right? The big one always spawns first, right? So we can instantly pull it over and start attacking it and kill the big bee, which gives us the most experience, especially again on range basic attackers, right? So let's do the other way, where we turn this off again. We put on remaining HP, and now you're gonna see a big difference. Where we spawn the white Pokemon, we attack the big bee, and now suddenly our attacks will go on the small ones, because the small bees have less remaining HP, so we can't even auto-attack the big one. And I think that's just very annoying on range Pokemon. I think on melee Pokemon, the options really don't matter, since you're gonna be close anyways. But for range Pokemon, I still just prefer this just for like these small things. Of course, in team fights, you might start attacking a tank or something, but in the end, you just auto-attack the thing that's like the tankiest in front of you anyways. So I think just for that, we want to have lowest remaining HP percentage, at least me personally. I like this one the most. And I think those are good examples of why I think, you should have it on just even for PvEing early game and late game. So then we have obviously the controls. So this is something you have to enable, of course. This is one of the most important options in the entire game. Default controls and advanced controls. If you press B, so right here, if I press B now, my auto attacks go into white Pokemon and not on the enemy Pokemon, right, compared to A. So obviously very important for last hitting, very important for fighting for dinos. There's just one thing you have to be careful with. So after using ability, this is actually a very annoying bug. So after using ability, if you press B, your auto attack will always go into the enemy Pokemon. So this option, still has issues, it has bugs. So it's something you have to be very aware about. So you have to wait, like after using an ability, you have to wait a bit, and then your auto attack will go on the white Pokemon. But if you press it while literally the move is out, or literally just after the move has happened, and you press B, you can see my auto attack always. I'm pressing B. I don't know if I can show it, but I'm pressing B, and my auto attack always goes onto the enemy Pokemon, not the white Pokemon. So it's something you have to be very careful about. And if you ever wondered why this happens in your game, so why you press B and it goes onto the enemy Pokemon, this is why. Then automatic basic attacks obviously have off, but what it does is just if you auto attack something and you stand still, you're gonna keep auto-attacking. But it's just if you're lazy, I guess, but you don't really have to. You can also just, if you really want to do that, you can just hold down the A button anyways, and just the same thing. But in general, I would recommend against this option. Next up, we have the setting called In Motion Pursuit Mode, which just makes your character turn around and walk to someone. So if you're walking away and you press A without it, nothing happens. If you have it enabled, your character will turn around and will start going towards the thing, and it's gonna override your movement command to the right. And I think it's something like, if you ever see someone like spazzing out, like I think your guests have probably seen it before, like someone just waiting around in front of you because he's like trying to run away, also pressing A auto attack at the same time, and it just looks very, very weird. It's because they have this weird setting on, which just messes up your movement. So like, I think you should be in fully control of your movement. So again, if I press A now, I will not turn around. I will actually only turn around if I want to. And some people just spam the 8 auto attack button and it just turns into a mess. It just absolutely turns into a mess. So I could really just tell you guys to disable this thing and just make sure that you actually understand your basic attack range of your Pokemon and don't just randomly turn around in team fights and walk towards, back to your opponent even though you didn't want to. So we'll disable that. Next up we have obviously scoring controls. Very straightforward. If we want to score points, we can either hold down our button or press it. And obviously we want to have it, we obviously want to have it on a single button press. Obviously, instead of holding it down. I mean, if you don't have that yet, you should for sure enable that. So with this, we only have to press once. And with this, we have to literally hold down the entire button the entire time. And if you once get rid of it, it's going to stop canceling it. And there's a trick as well, so this is actually kind of good. Like if you get cancelled or interrupted, right, to just keep pressing a button, it's gonna instantly start it again. But you can do the same here. You can just spam your thingy, and if you get interrupted by something, you can just keep spamming this button, and you're gonna start scoring anyways again. So just make sure you have this enabled. Lock on icons, I think are only good on mobile phone. While we get this weird wheel on the right side, and you can, target one of your opponents and make, your things fly towards them. Which, I mean, is useful, but it's quite buggy. It also, like, instantly cancels when you lose vision on them, and it can mess up with your abilities as well if you, press the wrong button or something. But in the end, like, you could use it. I think on phone you should use it, but on Switch I would not recommend. If it was a bit... I tried really using it, but it felt super buggy. Next up we have the move panel sensitivity, which is very important for Pokemon like Gardevoir, who have like the future sight kind of aiming thing. And it just makes it either fire faster or lower, right? Like this is much faster now. And obviously if you turn it down to low, it's gonna be much slower. And obviously very hard to drag around. So the problem with this is, if you have it too low, right, your accuracy might be higher. But let's say you want to kill the Ludicolo, but your auto aims it onto here, then you have to drag it all the way here, which just takes ages. You're just gonna find a good balance between low and high, whatever you are comfortable with. Obviously, I think I would put it a bit higher just for this scenario there. But you want to kill the Ludicolo, you can just drag it over, and obviously it goes much faster than before. So very important, in case you need to aim or need to drag around your stuff, that you have a bit faster aim, but still, you're confident enough in like hitting your abilities. Which obviously on controller can be a bit difficult. On phone, obviously it's also very important, and on phone it also does something else to this though. Like on phone, the panel attracts your other skill shots as well. On Switch it doesn't. Switch on the Psychic, it's always towards your cursor and it doesn't get slowed down. It's always the same. This speed is always the same, doesn't matter what you do. But on mobile phone it's actually not the case. On mobile phone, the lower this is, this will be like it will feel like this if your move panel is very low. So you have to find even better balance on phone as well. On Switch again it doesn't matter. On phone it's actually quite annoying. Next up we have camera follows moves. I have it personally turned off, but if you turn it on, this will happen. On Pokemon like Venusaur, where you have Solar Beam, it will drag out your camera more to the edge of, your skill shot or your move. But I think it's like a bit weird with camera movement. But obviously you can use it if you, want to look around a bit. It obviously makes it maybe a bit easier for you. But I personally just move my camera a lot. So what I do is just, I disable that. And then I just use my camera. Like I just move my camera towards the direction I want to aim in. And then we just press L. Move the cursor somewhere, and then we can start aiming our Solar Beam. We can't move obviously our camera, it's not locked in. If I keep holding down my L button, it's locked in. So of course, if I want to move my camera again, I need to release the Solar Beam button. And then I can, I can do this. I can press B and I can move my camera again. And I think, of course, this is much more difficult, but if you want to become better at the game, I would for sure recommend this. It even gives you more overview, right? As you can see. Again, you're locked into this, but gives you much more view. So let's just talk about this for a second as well. So this I'm gonna go over in a second. Let's just talk about the minimap, because this is the one that matters as well. This makes your camera faster. Right here, minimap shown and minimap hidden. Minimap hidden is this thing right here. If you turn this up, if you make this faster, your minimap will be faster. And I see a lot of people have it never touched this setting, and the camera is like this. And it's just not even like this. I think it's even slower. And they just take ages to look around because they have not realized that this setting actually makes the camera faster. So it's this one right here. Minimap hidden is the one that makes your camera faster, and it allows you much faster to move around the map, which again, I think is very, very important for this game. A lot of people, every time I do coaching, is that the main thing I notice is that people don't use their camera a lot, or too much, right? It's something you really have to use much more. Minimap shown is just like, it makes your thing faster in the minimap. Like, you can customize how fast your camera will be when your minimap is out. So if I press, like right now my move speed is like this, right? My camera move speed. And if I put on my minimap with minus, it's much faster. That's pretty much what it does. If you bring it just makes your minimap scrolling much, much faster. So it just, you know, if you want to have two different things, if you want to look top fast, you could, if you want to have this for team fighting, a bit slower cam for team fighting, if you want to look around the map, you can press minus and then go somewhere much, much faster. And that's pretty much all there is to it. Let's go back to this one. Move aims, follow movement direction. I personally have it on because I like it a lot. So what it does is, your left cursor can now dedicate where your dashes go, which is very, very handy. So you can have two ways of like aiming or dashing, and it's gonna walk towards your cursor. And I think this is very nice in case you're in team fights and you want to escape fast or something. I think it just makes it a bit smooth as well to use your movement like this. You have to be careful as well. There's another thing with, if you use your ability and use your move, try to aim with the move stick. You just saw it there, right? I'm using meteor mesh, I'm aiming to the left side with my move cursor, and I'm pressing extreme speed, it still goes into the enemies. It's just another bug as well. Like, there's just bugs when it comes to, queuing up commands, and this is just another one. So you have to be very careful. You have to first do this, and after the animation is gone, you can start using it. Or you can just use your right cursor for these scenarios. So if you do this, and with the right cursor, there's no problems, only problems with the left cursor. So you gotta make sure that's also, that you know that's also buggy, and the way it works. Again, right cursor, no problem. Again, right cursor, no problem. And then left cursor, movement cursor, it still goes onto the enemy target. I really just hope there's certain bugs they fix, but in the end, I still like this one a lot. I think this is very comes in handy in team fighting, especially when you start auto-taking a lot. Then we have move aim snaps to nearby targets. Obviously, I want to disable that. I can just mess our team fighting up, and we don't just want our thing to snap towards enemies for no reason, right? So, even though literally that's also snapping there, like the queuing up commands. And then we also have move learning controls. Obviously, want to build on a single button. And the last thing in the control settings is the aim assist setting. So aim assist is always on, right? This is just another assist to it. Auto aim is always on. It doesn't matter what you do. Your abilities, right? They will never start under you or something. They will always start over an opponent, right? Doesn't matter what you do. So this is obviously something that's a bit annoying, but APs always start over your opponent. And then there's like this setting. So if you turn it on, this is what happens. It will get slower, like you can see it's already so buggy, right? Like it's gonna lock onto a target a bit differently, but you can also just make it, slower around the enemy target. But you can see this is like absolute mess of a setting. It just randomly teleport, like it auto locks, right? It auto locks onto a target when you get close to them, but it is just not really something you really want to use. It's just, you can see it's so laggy and buggy, and and there's also something you can do, like if you go to an opponent, like it gets slower or something. If you see the middle icon, get closer to it gets slower for you to aim a bit easier. But what if you just lock onto a target and want to drag somewhere else? It's going to take ages as well. So in general, I would just recommend to have all of this off, and will make your life much, much easier. But again, auto aim will always be on. Always. You can't turn off auto aim. There's just something for Switch players as well, like button settings. This is something I have done. Obviously, you don't have to do any of this. So what I've done is I switched move 1 and 2 around. You can also obviously have do something like move 1 here, move 2 here, and unite move here or something. That could also be quite nice to use those buttons at the same time. But what I did, because like in-game, the buttons don't change, like the icons don't change towards what you bind towards it. So for me, I put move 1 onto this button down here and move 2 on this button up here, because in-game, it's essentially like that. Like in-game, the top button is now my top icon, and the bottom button is my bot icon. It's just, for me, mentally, like this is my top icon, and this is my bot icon. If you don't have that, this is the bot icon, and this is the top icon. So it just messed up with my brain a lot, and I just started instantly when I started playing this game. This was one of the first things I did to change. And then I also changed battle item and scoring, because I think, I press A a lot, right? If you press A a lot, it's much easier to get towards X than it is towards Y. So I changed those two around. Normally X button, the better item is on Y, and the score button is on X, but I just thought, you know, if I'm auto-taking a lot, then it's much easier for me to reach the X than the Y. Of course, if you use this thing a lot, right, your joystick, it's easier to get to Y first, but yeah, I think you still mainly be auto-taking a lot more, usually at least. So I just decided to put it onto X. Obviously, it's also just a person preference. Anyways, if you guys have any questions left, feel free to know. I think that was pretty much everything. You can also have a quick chat setting. You can customize your entire quick chat settings as well if you want to. You can have different voice lines or different, chat lines on your things. And obviously, you want to have the system setting on high. And besides that, nothing is. I mean, I have this disabled, of course. Besides that, there's not much left to do. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and yeah, see you guys in the next video. Bye.